Hello everyone and welcome to Read Insight. I'm your host, Charlotte. Today, we are opening a book that carries a weight far heavier than its paper pages might suggest. It is a book that doesn't just sit on a shelf, it demands to be felt. It is often cited as one of the 10 most influential books in America, a text that has reshaped how we understand the human capacity for survival. The book is Man's Search for Meaning, and the author is the brilliant psychiatrist Dr. Viktor Frankl. Before we dive into his philosophy, I want to invite you to close your eyes for a moment and visualize a scene. It is the autumn of 1942. A train is cutting through the bleak landscape of Europe. Inside the cattle cars, it is dark, suffocating, and packed so tightly with terrified people that there is barely room to breathe. Among them stands a young, promising doctor from Vienna. Hidden deep inside the inner pocket of his coat is a manuscript, a lifetime of scientific research that he is desperate to save. He believes that if he can just keep this manuscript safe, he might preserve a piece of his identity. But when that train screeches to a halt, the doors are thrown open, and the reality of Auschwitz crashes in. In the chaos of shouting guards and barking dogs, everything is stripped away. The coat is taken. The manuscript is burned. His hair is shaved, his clothes are replaced by rags, and finally, even his name is erased. From that moment on, he is no longer Dr. Frankl. He is merely number 119,104. This book is the story of number 119,104. But unlike many memoirs of the Holocaust, this isn't just a record of atrocities. It is a profound investigation into the human soul. It is, in essence, a psychological autopsy of hope conducted in the bleakest laboratory imaginable. Frankl guides us through the psychological stages of a prisoner. It begins with the delusion of reprieve, that desperate, irrational hope that maybe, just maybe, things won't be so bad. But reality strikes quickly. There is a chilling moment in the book where Frankl describes the finger game. A high-ranking SS officer stands before the new arrivals, looking bored, simply flicking his finger to the left or to the right. It seems so casual. Yet, that flick of a finger was a judgment of life or death. Left meant the gas chambers. Right meant hard labor. Frankl was flicked to the right. As the days turned into weeks, the prisoners entered a second phase, apathy. Frankl observed that to survive the sheer horror of seeing friends die and enduring starvation, the mind builds a wall. Emotions shut down. A prisoner might watch a fellow inmate collapse and die in the mud, and instead of weeping, they would simply calculate if they could take the dead man's shoes or his piece of bread. It sounds horrific to us now, but Frankl explains this emotional death was a necessary shield. It was the only way to preserve the last shred of sanity. However, amidst this degradation, a critical question arises. If we are stripped of everything, if we are reduced to animal instincts, are we still human? If our fate is decided by the whim of a god, do we possess any freedom at all? This is where Frankl delivers the most powerful insight of the book, a concept that has become a cornerstone of modern psychology. He writes, "Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way." Let that sink in. Frankl noticed that the men who survived the camps were not necessarily the physically strongest. They were the ones who had a why. They had a meaning that anchored them to life. This validates the famous words of Nietzsche, which Frankl quotes often. "He who has a why to live for can bear almost any how." There is a hauntingly beautiful scene where Frankl is marching to a worksite in the bitter cold. His feet are swollen and wrapped in rags. The pain is excruciating. The guards are shouting, "The world is grey and hopeless." But suddenly, his mind drifts to his wife. He doesn't know if she is alive or dead, but in that moment, he speaks to her in his mind. he sees her smile. He realizes that love goes far beyond the physical person of the beloved. It finds its deepest meaning in their spiritual being, their inner self. He wrote that for the first time in his life, he understood the truth that so many poets and thinkers have proclaimed. The salvation of man is through love and in love. That mental escape, that connection to love, gave him the strength to take one more step. Aside from love, what else kept him alive? It was his unfinished work. Remember the lost manuscript? Even when he was delirious with typhus, Frankl used scraps of paper to scribble down keywords, reconstructing his theory in the dark. He visualized himself standing in a warm lecture hall after the war, teaching psychology to a packed audience. By projecting himself into a future where his suffering had meaning, he pulled himself forward. Conversely, Frankl saw what happened when that meaning was lost. He talks about the phenomenon of the smoking prisoner. In the camp, cigarettes were currency. You traded them for soup to survive. But when a prisoner began smoking his own cigarettes, one after another, everyone knew what it meant. He had given up. He no longer cared about saving his strength for tomorrow because he no longer believed in tomorrow. Physical death usually followed within days. Now, you might be wondering, how does this apply to us? We are not, thankfully, in a concentration camp. We live in a world of relative comfort and abundance. Yet, Frankl argues that modern society faces a different kind of suffering. He calls it the existential vacuum. Have you ever felt that strange sense of emptiness on a Sunday afternoon? The work week is done, the distractions stop, and suddenly you are faced with a void. You feel bored, perhaps even anxious. Frankl called this Sunday neurosis. We have the means to live, but we have lost the meaning to live for. We often ask, what do I want from life? Or, what can the world give me? Frankl tells us we must turn this question upside down by 180 degrees. It is not we who ask life questions. It is life that is asking questions of us. Imagine that life is a constant inquiry. Every situation, a difficult boss, a family crisis, a creative project, is a question life is posing to you. You are not the questioner. You are the one who must answer. And you answer not with words, but with right action and right conduct. So, how do we find this meaning? Frankl suggests 3 main avenues. First, by creating a work or doing a deed. This is about contribution. It's about doing your job with excellence or creating something that wasn't there before. Second, by experiencing something or encountering someone. This could be experiencing nature, culture, or, most potently, loving another human being. To love someone is to see their potential, and that vision creates meaning. Third, and this is crucial for anyone going through hard times, is the attitude we take toward unavoidable suffering. When we are no longer able to change a situation like a terminal illness or a great loss, we are challenged to change ourselves. Frankl says, suffering ceases to be suffering at the moment it finds a meaning. When we bear our cross with dignity, even the darkest tragedy can be transformed into a human triumph. As we wrap up today's journey, I want to leave you with a thought that Frankl often shared. We all know the Statue of Liberty on the east coast of the United States. Frankl suggested that to complete the picture, the West Coast should have a statue of responsibility. Because freedom without responsibility threatens to degenerate into mere arbitrariness. True freedom is not just doing whatever we want. It is the freedom to take responsibility for our choices, our attitudes, and our lives. Man's Search for Meaning is a short book, but it is a monumental one. It is a book to keep on your bedside table. When the world feels overwhelming, or when you feel lost in the routine of the everyday, open it. It serves as a gentle but firm reminder from a voice that has seen the abyss. Do not give up. Your life is waiting for your answer. Thank you for listening. I'm Charlotte, and this has been Read Insight. Until next time, take care of your spirit.